back. Mental health benefits of volunteerism, altruism, and serving others. My name is Mark Vermillion. I'm the chair for the Department of Sport Management, and I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to listen to our conversation today. For this presentation, we really want to just take a moment and talk a little bit about mental health and how it ties in with what we're doing here in the Department of Sport Management. Specifically today, we'll discuss and identify some current mental health trends. We will review some ideas and context that can hopefully help us frame a better understanding of mental health. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of building community and some of the benefits of giving back and helping others. And then finally, I'll just kind of bookend everything, talk a little bit about our department's day of service and how all this stuff sort of comes together for us here in the department. There's no surprise when we think about the prevalence of mental health challenges. Many of us have thought about these issues. Maybe we know someone who's suffering with mental health challenges. I think it's really important, though, to not treat mental health as this monolithic idea. Mental health challenges or issues are extremely varied, and they're going to impact all segments of the global population. Some of these mental health challenges might include anxiety, depression, ADHD, eating disorders, PTSD, and a variety of different others. The idea here then is that all of these things are going to impact people and communities in more or less different ways. And when we start thinking about all the different challenges that our key stakeholders are going to deal with, I think it's important to pull back and have a brief discussion about this. So, just setting the context a little bit more. When we think about students in higher education, according to the Mental Health Coalition in 2023, 73% of college students experience some form of mental illness during their academic journey, with a little over a third reporting depression so impactful that it impedes or impacts their functioning. Okay, now if we're going to take and move from students and think more exclusively about student athletes, according to the NCAA, student athletes continue to report mental health concerns, including things like elevated rates of mental exhaustion, feelings of being depressed, and feelings of anxiety. Okay, for those, if we want to provide a little bit more context, let's think about from a business and industry point of view. Not necessarily the sport industry, but just globally, business and industry. According to the World Health Organization, last year, globally, an estimated 12 billion with a B working days are lost every year to depression and anxiety at a cost in US dollars of over $1 trillion per year in lost productivity. Idea here, mental health challenges impact individuals, communities, industries. That's why we're here talking about all these different things. So let's think a little bit more about the context. Maybe we know a lot of the statistics. You may know someone who is struggling with mental health. Maybe it's you yourself. But while it's difficult to identify the actual root causes or the genesis of varied mental health issues, what we can do, because that's probably more than we're willing to take on in this tiny little presentation. But what we can do is think about the context, and we can rely on other individuals, other thinkers, and their concepts that really help us understand the context of mental health and community and how all these things really work together. Many of you may know, for me, I'm just an old sociologist, so I go back to Emile Durkheim, a French sociologist from the 19th century that was really interested in looking at people, understanding social integration or culture, or even what he called collective consciousness, right? How and why individuals come together and reaffirm those group bonds and things like that. When he was thinking about social integration and kind of how and why people come together, he was responding to Ferdinand Tönnies, another writer at the time, and they were kind of talking about these ideas that don't translate terribly well to English, but Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft. And really what it was is Gesellschaft, which is going to be modern life, right? Modernity has eroded these traditional bonds and kinship relations that really have connected people over the years and helped to build community. That's Gemeinschaft. And he was kind of looking at this dichotomy between the two, and what is it about modern life, and how do we come together, and what holds us together as groups of individuals? Because if we can identify what holds us together, what he called solidarity, that social glue that brings us together, then maybe we can think of ways to keep building and maintaining that. So over time that we can have these healthy societies. So really what was at the heart of everything for Durkheim was the importance and an additive effect of individuals coming together. We as humans are social beings, right? As a result, we really crave the opportunities to reaffirm our social connections. These bonds, these connections, these coming together moments are things that he called, when he was looking at religion, and this is just a great phrase, moments of collective effervescence. Right? These are places where we can come together and reaffirm that we are part of a group. Think about some sort of sporting event. All the fans coming together and reaffirming the fact that they are part of that particular group. Right? That's extremely important for Durkheim. And I think what it does is it helps to set the stage for understanding the individual and the group and the power of the group and why we want to pursue integration in terms of being involved in a particular group and building those social bonds. Well, we talk a lot about community lately, right? And community is very important. It's a crucial concept or idea because it's so powerful, because it helps us to understand how and why people come together and why they connect. Now, from a social scientific point of view, community is not necessarily about, physical geography per se, as much as it's really more about a system of interconnectedness, right? So you can have a community that's online. You can have a series of a community of fans that come together and think about tailgating and things like that. All of those different things, if you're trying to build a sense of community on a particular athletic team, all those things to reaffirm those bonds and to really powerfully build that community, you have to be intentional. Right? So that intentionality is key because this stuff doesn't just happen. These bonds have to be built and maintained over time. And it's those concerted conscious efforts to build and maintain those social bonds that's going to be key to ensuring that individuals feel connected to something. And that something is a community. And one of the things that we do know is that volunteerism and really this whole idea of trying to help others has been shown to have a positive impact on mental health. And I think that's really, really powerful because if we're talking about the individual and if they're part of a community, then they're less likely to feel alienated and separated, and therefore they feel like they have more support. Then we want to talk about ways that we can go about building that opportunity to be a part of a particular group. Volunteerism and really going out and just trying to help others has been one way scientifically that we've seen that you're able to build and have a positive impact on mental health. Okay, so let's talk about that just for a little bit. Was able to find just 3 basic benefits from helping others. Give you a second to read over those. Simply put, helping and being a part of volunteerism and helping others, it's going to increase those physical and mental health indicators. It's been associated with a decrease in stress, which is a good thing. Oftentimes, helping others is going to get individuals physically involved in something. Maybe it's going out and engaging in their community, all right? And that's going to potentially lead to physical activity, both very important things. From this particular article, here's a nice little quote. Volunteering reduces stress and increases positive, relaxed feelings by releasing dopamine. By spending time in service to others, volunteers report feeling a sense of meaning and appreciation, both given and received, which can have a stress-reducing effect. Now just think about that. Think about trying to build and maintain those communal bonds. We know that individuals want to be a part of something greater than themselves, whether it's a sports team, whether it's a neighborhood or civic coalition, doesn't matter. Maybe it's family, maybe it's a group of friends. We want to be a part of a group. One way of going out and kind of reaffirming those bonds to a particular group is by getting involved and helping others. Additionally, it provides a sense of purpose and accomplishment. While we know that people and some of this sense of accomplishment might be individual in nature, the understanding that this accomplishment is coming from a group means that we as individuals are now connected, interwoven with systems and groups of people beyond ourselves, something larger than ourselves. A third benefit is that building and maintaining social relationships is key to many people for a positive, healthy social existence, right? So whether that's families, friends, classmates, teammates, mentors, coworkers, these are all just different types of social relationships that have to be built, cultivated, and then intentionally maintained over time. Like anything else, if you don't maintain these social relationships, then they tend to erode. And so when we talk about the intentionality of getting involved in something, whether that's building relationships, volunteering locally, or making sure that your team has an opportunity to come together and get to know individuals, it's all about work. It's all about that intentionality and making sure that the individual sees and puts forth effort for the group. Many of you, if you know our programs here in the department, you know that leadership is going to be key to a lot of what we do and what we talk about. And I think it's important here to talk a little bit about just additional social sciences and what we can learn from them. So we know that doing things for others or serving and being a part of others, especially if you're not doing it for selfish reasons, that's known as altruism. This is an important idea, not just philosophically, but from the social scientific point of view, because there have been a lot of people in leadership or psychology that have looked at to try to understand altruism. There's a lot of different ideas, theories, concepts, paradigms, approaches out there that you probably come across either in this program or some of the other programs here in the college or at the university. And I just want to talk about those for just a second, right? Because I think it's important to try to understand and contextualize our individual experiences. And that's really what social science, whether it's psychology, sociology, leadership, all this type of stuff, is really trying to do. It's trying to just help us build that bridge between what we experience as an individual and how it connects to something larger. Servant leadership, something we talk about in a lot of our classes and all of our different programs here in the department. But really, it's a leadership approach, just like it sounds. It's an approach and a philosophy that really tries to prioritize the support and uplifting of others. And when we think about kind of a team-first approach, this is going to be something that's important within the world of athletics when we talk about that team-first approach, right? The individual ego, setting that aside because the team is the most important thing. Oftentimes, the servant leader is going to be not necessarily someone that's, pulling all of their subordinates or the employees and colleagues or the athletes that they're in charge of, right? They're not going to be pulling them towards a goal as much as behind them kind of pushing, making sure that they can provide that support for them to achieve their individual and their collective goals. Many of you also know probably you've talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, whether it's an intro to psychology class or any of the psychology classes here in the department that I teach. We talk a lot about this, right? And Maslow's hierarchy of needs is actually a pyramid. And at the very top of that pyramid is self-actualization. And this is essentially the ultimate fulfillment of who you are and your potential as an individual. Oftentimes, as Maslow kind of went on to eventually talk about and describe, sometimes the ultimate individual fulfillment is really about connecting to the needs of others and kind of closing that loop, that the most sort of the penultimate thing that you can do to realize your own potential is to now give back and help others. These are really simple, but also very powerful ideas and theories because they can help us understand, as we start trying to think about who we are as individuals or our organizations and how they connect with mental health. One of the things that we're seeing is that individuals that feel a part of something tend to have better outcomes, better realized outcomes in terms of mental health challenges, right? Building that connection, making you feel supported, that's going to be key. And these are just some concepts and ideas that help to support that general approach. We talk about this all the time in the department, or at least I'll speak about it from my point of view, right? This is an opportunity for us to put our money where our mouth is. As a department, we realize the importance of service. We realize the importance of trying to help educate and develop the next generation of leaders, irrespective of academic program or background or minor or anything like that. And so to that end, this year, our Department Day of Service is going to be with ICT Food Rescue, a local nonprofit involved in the collection and redistribution of food surplus here in the Wichita metro area. In partnership, we're also going to work with Wichita Wind Surge, our local minor league baseball team. Our hope from all of this is that our students, our faculty, and our staff can see the complex interconnections between communities and individuals and all those around us that are supporting us as a community, as a group of scholars, as a department, however you want to think about the people and the groups that you're a part of. That's what we want to talk about. That's what we want to see. Our previous days of service have really always been more beneficial, I think, to us as individuals in the department than they were to those that we were trying to serve. And we want to build on that momentum. And that's what we're going to be doing in this year's Day of Service. When we think about mental health, when we think about building bonds, when we think about who we are as individuals, whether you're a student athlete, a sport management, organizational leader, or just someone who's craving an understanding of how we build these bonds, that's what we want to do. And one of the things that we try to do here in the department is make sure that students, faculty, staff, and other stakeholder groups have an opportunity to realize that we are part of something larger than ourselves. That's what we're going to be doing, not just in our day of service, but with all of our service opportunities moving forward. Today was just a quick little opportunity to talk about how something like a day of service here in the department, we try to conceptually understand the world around us and build towards something, an activity that can really be not just a service learning activity, not just an applied learning activity, but really an opportunity for us to learn more about who we are as individuals and then build a better community around us. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this very, very short presentation. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at mark.vermillion@wichita.edu. Thank you very much.